Welcome back, folks, to another episode of Investor Diaries. In this video, we're going to look at one of the success stories in the cloud space, and that is Salesforce. This company trades on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol CRM. So, Nidhish, can you let us know a little bit about where is the main focus of Salesforce in the bigger gamut of cloud?
Sure, Appy. So, Salesforce.com had pioneered the SaaS model, which is software as a service delivery model, and post that has assembled a front office empire that it can build for years to come. Salesforce Sales Cloud represents the original Salesforce automation product, which has streamlined process management for sales leads and opportunities, contact and account data, process tracking, approvals, and territory tracking. So this is the original CRM that Salesforce had launched. Salesforce.com's critical differentiator was software can be accessed through web browser delivered over internet, thus inventing the SaaS delivery model. This was very novel back in the day. It is pretty common today, but keep in mind this was launched in 1999 and 2000, and at that point it was a very novel concept. Most of the softwares were an actually application, an exe file that you had to install, and then enterprises had to upgrade it, and there were licenses issues. So there was different version numbers to go from one version to another. There was a painstaking upgrade process. So Salesforce broke all those barriers and overcame all those challenges with the SaaS software delivery model. Later, Service Cloud brought in customer service applications, and Marketing Cloud brought in marketing automation solutions. These solutions encompass nearly all aspects of customer acquisition and retention, and in our view, is mission critical for Salesforce. Apart from these, Salesforce also offers customers platform as a service solution, which they had launched later later on in their journey, and complete with an app exchange where other developers can create apps and distribute apps as well. So Salesforce.com represents one of the best long-term growth stories in software. And even though this year the revenue might dip than the standard 20% for the first time, but we still believe that the ongoing margin expansion should continue to compound earnings growth for more than 20% annually for much longer to come.
Yeah, that's interesting. One of the things that's resonated with me was like, say, Spotify. So I could actually now play Spotify on the web browser, and that's the exact same thing which Salesforce has enabled a lot of softwares to do. And it ties back to what the vision of the management is. I know that the CEO Mark Benioff, he's actually been at the forefront of all of the innovation that Salesforce has done in the past few years. So can you talk to us a little bit about where the focus of the management is and how do you assess the management at Salesforce?
Right. So after spending about 13 years in Oracle in various leadership roles and product and sales development roles, Mark Benioff co-founded Salesforce in 1999. And the mission was end of software. He started Salesforce with that one mission statement. In 2000, the company released its original version of the Salesforce, which was the automation product that we talked about, and offered it solely on the SaaS software delivery model. This delivery model revolutionized the industry. And after 20 years of forming the company, while Benioff has yet to achieve the goal of ending the on-premise software model, it is pretty clear that he steered the industry along this path that he had envisioned. That is the software delivery model, the SaaS delivery model. In the early years, Salesforce.com had the idea to sell SaaS before selling the software automation product. Founding the company and changing the industry might have been enough for a lot of visionaries, but that's not Mark Benioff. For him, he wanted to expand Salesforce from just being a SaaS platform to being a PaaS model, which is platform as a service delivery model. For this, he was looking at additional pillars of growth for Salesforce, and this is what we talked about: the Service Cloud and Marketing Cloud that Salesforce developed later on. And previously, an expensive on-premises development platform was required for a platform, leaving access in the hands of solely in larger enterprises. Salesforce.com was the first to market with a very important disruptive offering in the form of Salesforce platform, which created this platform as a service category.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. We see that Salesforce actually done a lot over the past few years, and I know that Salesforce at one point of time also went into an acquisition spree, which kind of brings me to the next question. What do you think are some of the growth drivers for Salesforce?
Yes, so Salesforce, so growth was very important for Salesforce right off the get-go. So they try to grow organically and inorganically as well. And I would have also challenged that there were a lot of growth that came to Salesforce mostly inorganically through acquisitions in the past. A lot of the acquisitions that they made in the past were more smaller in size. But the key acquisition that I would talk about now is the acquisition that they made in 2018 of May to be accurate, of MuleSoft, which was valued at about $6.5 billion. Now, MuleSoft slides into the segment naturally and it helps customers solve the major pain point, which is integrating data and applications across multiple platforms. This helped Benioff in his vision to go from advanced from say SaaS delivery model to a PaaS delivery model, and MuleSoft fit perfectly in that segment. This segment believes a wide moat supported by high switching costs and network effect. Application development platforms are sticky in which they serve as a core platform on which the businesses and processes are built, and switching could be highly disruptive and expensive for developers. So Salesforce was the first early to market on this, and they definitely got a lot of first mover advantage on this. So use of the platform provided the low cost, low investment benefits of the SaaS product and allowed for immediate and smooth integration of Salesforce.com solutions, and also allowed developers to sell or give away for free the application that they developed on the App Exchange platform. Now, App Exchange was also a very novel concept at that time. It predated the Apple's App Store by 2 years. So it was also revolutionary by itself and was very enticing to developers. Now, another key acquisition that I talk about here is the 2019 Tableau deal, which was valued at about 15.7 billion, and it deserves a mention here as well. Although the deal was large in size, we do not believe there was a lot of significant transformative or synergies that Salesforce got, because Tableau mainly operates in the space of visualizing dashboards, but it served their key endpoint where all the CRM, all the different solutions that Salesforce built tied into one visualizing dashboard which Tableau provide. One of the other recent developments is the speculation in the market that Salesforce is going to acquire or buy out Slack. There has been reports recently, just as of yesterday, a Wall Street Journal reported this first, and now there's been a rumor, and Slack stock went up, and Salesforce dipped by about 3%. Now, I think it's a great deal. It's a win-win for all the parties involved. The reason is Salesforce has a component in their in the software called Chatter, which is to collaborate and communicate, but it obviously does not have the capabilities Slack has to offer, and it could benefit Slack because their CEO has said that their Teams is their biggest competitor, and they could tap into all the Salesforce's list of Fortune 500 companies.
We know that Salesforce obviously operates in the cloud segment. This cloud segment today is getting very, very competitive. The big technology players that we see today all are entering cloud. And what kind of competitive landscape do you see as far as, say, Salesforce is concerned?
Right. So, as you discussed earlier, Salesforce had revolutionized the industry in 2000 with the launch of its automation product, right? This feature set was very similar to what was offered by the peers, which is like streamlined process management for sales leads, opportunities, etc. But again, the key differentiator here was the ability to offer or access the platform over the internet, or the SaaS model. So this paved the way for a lot of its competitors to move that way. And a key competitor now that has been chipping away on Salesforce lead is Microsoft Dynamics. So especially in the realm of CRM. So in the realm of CRM, Microsoft Dynamics share is 3.5% today versus Salesforce, which contributes to 17% of market share. But in the last couple of years, a lot of industry observers are preferring Microsoft Dynamics over Salesforce. So that's in the CRM space. There, Salesforce also has other pillars to grow. And this is primarily due to the seamless integration of Microsoft's Office suite of products. Microsoft has also been bundling into the Office 365 suite. And they've been going at it pretty aggressively in terms of the bundles and offers. So that's a key mention here. The other competitors are Adobe's digital experience, which competes with Salesforce digital marketing suite, and seems to have a narrow but a growing lead as well. And with respect to CRM, the legacy players like SAP, Oracle, and SAAS and IBM have also been are also considered as Salesforce's leading competitors.
Yeah, so again, I'm of course aware of all the competitors. The challenge for Salesforce is that none of these competitors are like small players. So I know that some of these that Microsoft is actually posing increasing threat to a lot of other companies. So you would know a company like say Slack, which opened up as a messaging fun way of communicating with colleagues, and their dominance in that space is being challenged by Microsoft's launch of say MS Teams, so on and so forth. So now moving gears, we'll also like to talk about the pandemic. What do you think has been the impact, Nidhish, of the pandemic on Salesforce?
Yes, so I would say that the pandemic has favored the company in multiple aspects. First, companies, most of the small and medium-sized businesses that we talked about, they were looking to digitally transform, and that played into Salesforce's growth areas or key offerings. And they were able to, Salesforce had a significant uptick in its revenue numbers because of that. The other factor here is Salesforce had various initiatives like work.com, which helped organizations to reopen their business successfully by providing them a playbook or a process model and help navigate through various hiccups. So I would say overall, the pandemic had favored the company. And not to forget that there has been a lot of talk or speculation in the market on Salesforce too, and that you can see the boost in its valuation because folks in most of the retail investors were piling on Salesforce and buying the company during this whole uptick that we got during the pandemic.
Yes. And most of the stocks that we have covered here at Investor Diaries, they followed a specific pattern during the pandemic. A lot of the tech names, their valuations have ballooned over the past few months. So now, on that note, I want to focus a little bit on some of the financial analysis. Yes, there's been a huge momentum. Yes, the momentum is definitely there with the company. What do you think about all of this? Is this sustainable? How do you think some of the ratios are looking like? If you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, sure. So let's look at the numbers a little bit. So this past year, the revenue grew 29% to $5.15 billion, and which blew through the estimates of the street. As I mentioned earlier, because of the factors of the economy that favored the company, and the guidance as well as the guidance of 4.8 and 4.8 to 4.9 billion that the company provided. So Salesforce just demolished the estimates of the street and the guidance that they had provided. Revenue was 5% ahead of all the near consensus estimates, which is truly impressive for a company of this size. So all the segments were ahead, and the most notable upside relative to most of the models in the street were platform and service, which were growing by 11% and 8% ahead of the consensus estimates on the street. So management noticed increasing customer confidence as the quarter progressed and reported that the attrition came in better than anticipated. So now looking at the forward-looking guidance. So forward-looking guidance is 20.9 billion for fiscal year of 2021, and this current share price is about $257 to $258, which is fetching it a ratio of 101 to 102. So overall, the valuation is steep, but that is expected for a company of this size still posting this phenomenal growth numbers. The TAM, or the total addressable market, that Salesforce is predicting is for 2023 is 180 billion. So as you can see, there is still some room for Salesforce to grow, and we believe that there is still some upside. So overall, I would say our recommendation would be a buy for the Salesforce, especially for long-term investors, because there is considerable room, there is considerable upside for Salesforce to grow, and a company of this size posting a 20% of growth year on year is pretty impressive, is what I would say.
Yeah, so thank you, Nidhish, for sharing thoughts on Salesforce. I myself have been a huge fan of Salesforce, so I'll be tracking the stock much more closely than I was. So this was really, really helpful. Folks, this is it. If you have any thoughts, comments, or suggestions, please feel free to uh, uh, comment in the section below, and please do subscribe to our channel. It really helps us. Thank you, and see you in the next video. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.